Good evening, everyone. The Ranter is back to go yet into another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. I'm going to try to be more disciplined and try to be concise as possible. So I don't try to go into these sort of long-winded 40 to an hour plus videos, which actually eats up my computer, and that's not very good. So I'm going to try to rein myself in a little bit on these particular topics. It's actually going to be 4 topics. 4 Trump-oriented topics. Because, why should I disappoint the dozen or so who actually watch these without me, doing some Trump lambasting? Which, in reality, I'm not really going to do. I'm just going to give you my opinion on these 4 little topics. And I'm not going to go into a full insult mode or whine or be deranging or any of that. I'm just going to give you my humble opinion upon that. Yeah, so 4 topics. And let's see if I can make it like 5 minutes for each topic, which I'm already eating into the first minute. So let's go right off the bat to the announcement that Trump made a few weeks ago concerning whether or not he was going to run for president. And yes, indeed, he's going to run for president. And my reaction to that is, duh. Yeah, we kind of knew that. I love the idea that he was trying to make this into a blown up, big, important thing that we all should be watching. And that, networks should be on it. And, when networks did start playing it, then they started to go, and they turned to something else. Which, that is amusing, given to so much exposure the media was giving him back in 2016, when they were for him, and so much exposure of him when the media industry was against him during his presidency. But I digress. And I also love the visual of seeing people trying to leave his speech while he was making his speech, and they were barred from leaving by Trump security. So a captive audience. That's one way of doing it. Why am I not surprised that Trump was going to run again? Well, first, his ego, and his need to stay relevant. So running for president does that. He'll get to have his adulation. He'll get his throng of supporters, all genuflecting for him. He'll get to do rallies again, for him, as opposed to doing rallies for other people, even though those rallies become about him anyway. So to the point where those sycophantic candidates for Congress or senators that he's supporting, have to literally just stand there while he's ingratiating himself about how wonderful he is, so that they can stand there and kiss his ass, which he literally said about Vance. Is that he's up here kissing my ass? Isn't that great? Well, Vance won, so I guess that worked. But not all his candidates got the rub, which is why certain Republicans are sashaying away from him and his support. But yeah, he wants to stay relevant. He loves the adulation of the fans, and in practicality, he enjoyed a level of protection as president from legal issues. And he has a boatload of legal issues, and if he can run for president, and if he can win the presidency, then those boatloads of legal issues will have to wait until he's no longer president again. But yeah. So my opinion on it is that I don't think he should be running again, but that's a personal bias opinion. But in the practicality, if I took that and shunted that part of me away, and think, well, yeah, and let's let him run. Because it's actually kind of an acid test for our country. If I've always thought that, as a responsible nation, that we wouldn't allow stuff like this to happen. But, all the norms that he shattered while he was running for president the first time and became president, and we're all shocked and appalled and pearl clutching as this. He can't do that. He can't do that. Well, when it comes down to it, he can, because nobody is stopping him. This is the second verse, same as the first. Now, either you're going to pearl clutch or you're going to actually do something about it. And, if it comes down to it, The one thing we can do is that we can deny him the presidency by making sure to vote against him for those who do not want him to be president. Those who want him to be president, vote for him. Don't let anybody tell you, regardless, me or anybody, don't let anybody tell you how to vote, who to vote for, and tell you your opinion is wrong or right. We can only give our opinion and our point of view, but that does not mean that we have to force it down your throat. So, there's that. So, 5 minutes is gone, and that is my opinion on him running for president. Okay. Point number 2. Him returning to Twitter. That's been teased ever since Musk took over Twitter. And, all the conservative punditry who is on Twitter that for some reason I'm seeing the feed of, even though I'm not following these people. They're just waiting for him to be allowed back on. Oh, when will Trump be back on to Twitter? Well, then, Elon Musk does a poll, and enough sycophants jumped on the polls to say yes. So, yeah, Twitter has reinstated Trump. My opinion on that? I haven't blocked before. I'll have it blocked again. It's not really going to affect me. And I had said this on the video I did concerning Elon Musk taking over Twitter. And I kind of gave you my opinion on that, so I'm going to reiterate that. Is that I don't really much mind it because I'm going to block him anyway. I really don't need to see a word of whatever he says or does. What I'll do is that I'll see other people's reaction to it, and then I'll comment on that. But I'm not going to give him a personal tick of attention or rating or anything to drive the mushroom, right? But my thing, as I said last time around, why there is a part of me that has a problem with it, is that Trump, for all the Trump supporters out there, there's always going to be the 1, the 2, the 10, the 100 maybe. In the grander amount, the little lone wolves, well, they grow in numbers too, isolated in different parts of the country, who do take his words, who do listen to the conspiracy theories, the whining, the victimizing, oh poor me, oh poor you, because you're the ones that are really the victims, not me. All the demonizing. They take all that stuff, and every once in a while you get an individual who hears that, and something flips in the head, and then they go and decide to make America great again by, let's say, driving to El Paso with a gun, or various other points where violence has been inspired by his words. Now, I already seen on Twitter how people have been giving him passes on January 6th. They show up his 2 tweets, and only the 2 tweets where he talks about people go back home, that he loves them very much, but they need to go back home. They don't show the tweets he said about Mike Pence. They don't show how this is what happens when a justified election gets robbed or something along those lines. It doesn't show the prior tweets. And the 2 tweets that they do show, for some reason, they hide the timestamp. Because certainly we don't want to be reminded that they came out hours after the rioting began. Around the same time that he did not call the National Guard or did anything to stop it. So that's my problem with that, is that him being on, fine. All the sycophants will be happy to have the glory again, bask, for them to bask and genuflect to. But, and I kind of said this on Twitter, sort of an outside comment, but if any further tweets that he makes on Twitter that is, loose on the rhetoric, flaming, demonizing on anyone and anything, and someone gets it into their head to go and be a good little servant of the MAGA, and someone gets hurt or killed, then that will be on those who let him back on the platform to give him the opportunity to do that. Because you've certainly felt no responsibility for any other stuff that he was doing that caused people to get hurt. That's point number 2. Story number 3. The Supreme Court okays and green lights Trump's taxes to finally be seen by House Democrats. Now, I saw that, and I saw people posting about that, and my buddy Vin from Vin and Stories Middle America, and Facebook's Middle America, suggested that me and him do kind of a co-video on this, which I'd be happy to do. But my opinion on it thus far, okay, is as a cynical person, I find the timing of this interesting. That we just passed the midterms, and the Republicans are in control of the House barely. Not enough to really push any physical policies, but enough to play musical chairs with committee chairs, and enough to make some noise, to make some sound bites, to make some tweets, and enough to do their own investigations on everything under the sun that they want to do for their own sake. Again, they won't pass anything of note that won't eventually either die in the Senate, or even if it survives the Senate, die from veto from Biden. Which includes, I might add, them doing any impeachments, because it takes 2/3 of the Senate, and I don't see that happening. No. It's not as if I saw that happening when Trump got impeached twice, because again, 2/3 of the Senate. But be that as it may, so the House Democrats will get access to Trump's taxes. There is nowhere else that Trump can appeal to stop it. Except, as I said, timing. House Democrats gets his taxes. Great. The Republicans are in control. They could suspend whatever committee that tax information is going to go to and nullify it. So, I'm not looking optimistically about this. I don't think this is... If this was something that had been done prior to the midterms, then yeah, that would be a major blow. But again, depending how long they're going to delay this, because sometimes they themselves may try to drag this out, so that the time where the Democrats are still in control ticks away to January, then the Republicans officially take control. That could run out, and committees could get suspended, or Republicans take over control of the committees, and then they just switch gears completely, and then January 6th is, now going to be about, Antifa members and FBI agents and I don't know, drag queens telling stories to children at January 6th. I don't know. Just, you know what I mean. Anyone else but, the actual people. I mean, I've already seen Paul Gosar saying that they need to pardon every protester from January 6th. And that's the first thing they need to do, and that should be the start. Yeah, the people who were crushing the cop into the door, were smashing windows and smashing doors to get in. They committed vandalism and theft in congressional offices. That committed assault. That were advocating and hoping to commit murder. Hang Mike Pence. Oh, those are just protesters. Those are protesters. Yeah. No. Crowbar separation. Once again, I have to remind you, the protesters were the ones outside, behind the line, who were protesting, who had every right to protest, who did not commit any violence, did not go into the Capitol, did not go across a barricade. But they were protesting. They had every right to protest. The people that broke in are not protesters. But yeah, I'm not all that hopeful on that. But we'll see. Maybe it will be one of those things where the Democrats will be able to see it before the switch over, and then something significant could happen that even the Republicans cannot get out of. But we'll see. We don't know what's in there. It could be, remember, a lot of flights of fancy have been going on, and a lot of it's more emotional than it is factual. So, whatever. You know what I mean? We'll see. And the last piece of news, since I'm really trying to be concise about this, is guess who's coming to Trump's dinner? I don't know. I don't go back and I'm not going to go too much back and forth on this. Trump had Kanye West over along with a white national who denies a Holocaust, and people are defending Trump. As Trump didn't know they were there. He didn't know he was there. He didn't know who he was. And then there's like some articles that says Trump was praising him, that they think a lot alike. That's a tagline. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a hypothesis. Okay, a little bit of a theory. To those who say that Trump didn't know who he was when he was invited to dinner and had this dinner with him and Kanye West, I can actually believe that. You don't know why? Because I think if a person praises, genuflects, give all deference to Trump publicly and loudly, Trump won't care who you are, but he will bring you in because he wants to hear how great he is. So if you're saying he's great, let's come on. Let's come over, let's have some dinner. We'll have a stack of day-old McDonald's burgers, so forth. And I can see that he wouldn't know because it's not about the person, it's about himself, Trump. This guy says Trump is great, so I want him around me to tell me I'm great. Then you hear about, there's a shouting match between Kanye and Trump, or Trump was shouting at Kanye. It's like one-sided because I guess Kanye was just so hurt that Trump was yelling at him that he did not fight back or whatever. I don't know. My opinion is really, I don't know. I mean, best case scenario, he really didn't know who he was eating with, and that's something I can believe. But that's best case. Realistically, the people around Trump should know who this person was, and should have been doing their job and making sure he was nowhere near Trump for the optics. But maybe the force of will that Trump has denied them this protective measure that would actually protect him because the guy is saying such nice things about him. That's what every dictator on the planet figured that out when Trump was president. Saying nice things about him, then he'll go out to the crowd and says, "We fell in love. We make so many beautiful letters back and forth, me and little Kim and me and the guy from Turkey and so forth and Brazil, and they're all wonderful people, so they say I'm great." So yeah, that's my kind of opinion on that. I mean, my very first video, going back my very first YouTube video, actually. I made the video was about if Trump was a racist or white supremacist, and I listed all the things that Trump had done to exhibit racism in one degree or another over the long years, right? But then when I asked the question if he was a white supremacist, and then I go, you know what? I don't think so. I don't think he is. Why? Because he doesn't care about anyone else but Trump. He doesn't care about white folk any more than he cares about any other demographic in the country or the world. It's about him. He's a Trump supremacist. It's about him and his family. And it's barely about his family because his family works for him. So whatever they do reflects back to him. So, no, I don't think then, and I don't think now he's a white supremacist. Because he's too self-absorbed to be a white supremacist, which is why I kind of think he was too self-absorbed to realize the guy that was praising him to his face also denied the Holocaust, which probably be something his son-in-law would take issue with. Or his daughter is married to his son-in-law. But there you go. 4 stories rapid fire. Alright, in closing, ladies and jelly spoons, I have other topics I have in mind that I wanted to do, which I'm not going to do now, but I'll do it later. One that's kind of quasi-religious. Another that I was asked to do a video on the state of affairs of our politics, keeping Trump out of it, which I'm glad to do because I think there are things beyond Trump that is an issue with our country and our body politics. I kind of went into it before the midterms when I talked about the derangement of our politics between Democrats, Republicans, and the people. But, and I divided that up in those 2 little videos. But I think for now, I'm going to try to do one where I'm just going to take like the whole and see where we're heading and how that could be a detriment, or maybe it is the downward spiral of the United States as we know it. When our idealism gets so twisted and perverted and degenerate that we no longer recognize, what we are going through as opposed to generations before us went through, that, progress gets slowed because the political will is not there, or there's too many opposing factors towards it, so it is just sluggish. And the great American genius that kept us going from the Declaration of Independence to our Constitution to the Great Compromise that staved off the Civil War and everything that came after. The American genius to compromise. That is becoming a dirty word in this polarizing, partisan, my way or the highway mentality between both parties. And that is a tragedy in my point of view, and that is something that will be a death knell, I believe, down the line. If I could paraphrase Al Gore for a moment, during his documentary of The Inconvenient Truth, we are the frog in the pot. And instead of turning the dial on the stove all the way up and burning the frog immediately, we're the frog that's in the water that's being turned up slowly. That we're not even noticing it. That the temperature's going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. And then when we finally notice that the water is too hot to handle, it's too late. Now, in the documentary, Al Gore saves the frog, puts him on a little lawn chair and gave him a nice little umbrella drink. But the metaphor, though, is that there isn't an Al Gore, there isn't a responsible leader out there in any party, that is going to turn the stove off, or that's going to save the frog. Because both sides are turning the dial slowly, and that water's slowly boiling, and there we are inside, unaware, too busy with our partisan bullshit on the left, our partisan bullshit on the right. We don't notice. And we're not going to notice until it's too late. The ranter rants because the urge to rant is always rising. Same as the temperature. Good night.